All right, welcome everyone to the Paketo working group meeting. I'm glad to see you all again. And as this is our first meeting in the new month, this one includes a roadmap status review. So let me share my screen real quick. Again, I'm sharing the link for the agenda. If you want to add anything you'd like to share or discuss, you're welcome to do so. And also feel free to add yourself to the attendees list, including your affiliation. Totally optional, but feel free to do it. Okay, is there anyone who would like to take notes for today's session? And I hope you're not hearing too much background noise. Just moved to a new place, so I'm dealing with noise. Anyone who would like to take notes? I could try to do it while sharing screen.
I can do it.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. Cool. All right, new faces. Not today. No problem. Cool. So let's start by the roadmap status review. Team was kind enough to build this board, show the current status of the roadmap item. So I'd say that we'll start by the in progress stuff. First one being the secure runtime environments proposal. Is there any update regarding this one?
Yeah, I did a manual review of all of the build packs. I think the only ones I didn't look at were the Java ones. And I filed PRs for any issues I ran into, and those have all been merged. So at this point, as far as I understand it, the concerns regarding this particular RFC have all been resolved with the exception of the Java build packs. And I don't know if there are issues on that front.
We did some investigation with the Jammy stack and found a couple corner case issues, but we believe that largely the Java build packs should be all ready to go as well.
Cool. So is this considered done or not yet?
I think the thing that's missing is we don't have ongoing confirmation that this works. And I think we won't be able to say in an ongoing manner that we are sure that this works until we have test coverage of stuff on top of Jammy. So until we get to a state where we have the Jammy stack as a tested stack underneath all the build packs, I don't think we can actually cross this off. We've done most of the work that would probably need to be done by just doing the manual review at this point.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm not sure if the status needs investigation column was the right place for the kind of proposals that need further validation on several build packs. Is that correct? Or I'm trying to remember.
That was kind of my intention with the column. Like these were ones where people said things to the effect of, we're not sure how many build packs already have this implemented, or this might be done, we just need to check.
Got it. You're right. Thank you, Frank. All right. Anything else regarding this proposal? Nope. Okay, next up is the dependency management build packs.
Yeah, so the RFCs are open and they've been mostly approved. I think the last major review we're waiting for is from Dan. If you're able to give us any approvals or point out anything else you want to see. Otherwise, the next steps will be once those get merged in, I will be opening issues in the appropriate places for us to start working towards this. And hopefully there will be a whole suite of issues so that different language family maintainers and contributors can start working on those.
Sorry, I thought I had approved some of those RFCs. Which ones? Because there's 4 of them.
Right, I
are
think
you looking for?
specifically phase 1 and phase 2,
Okay.
if I'm correct.
All right. Yeah, let me circle back and I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's great. Well, next up is RFC 19 because the title is too long. What's the status of this item?
So there's a comment down the bottom there that enumerates some places where I found buildpacks that are still using the override environment variable. And then I think there's like some back and forth between me and Dan about what to do about some of them. So I think the answer is that there are still buildpacks that don't follow this recommendation, and we're still figuring out like what changes to make.
Okay, thank you, Frankie. Any additional comment about the RFC? No. Okay, thank you. Next up is RFC 32, reloadable process type. Seems like it's missing PHP and Ruby validation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I don't think any work has happened in the Ruby language family. I'm not aware of it. In the Python language family, the work is stalled a bit because it turns out we don't actually need the watch exec language family for at least some of the functionality. We're still trying to figure out what we need to do with that. Because PHP relies on Nginx and HTTPD to serve files. It turns out those may just automatically reload changed files, but we're not quite sure if that will cover all of the developer use cases yet. But that work has been ongoing.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, next up, remote debug.
The work for .NET is ongoing. I believe that's the only one we've started. But that work is nearing completion, I'd say.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Do we
Any
have
other
a-
comment? Okay.
Do we have a tracking issue for the .NET debug? Because if
We
so, it might be
do.
nice to just go in and chuck it in as a comment of like, to track .NET debug, just look at this issue, and then once it's closed, we can go in and check it off on this list.
I could maybe just link it in the top comment here to the .NET Core task.
Either way,
Yeah. Yeah, that could work.
have to race Ryan to do it, it looks like.
All right, great. Any additional comment about this one? No, okay.
Sorry, actually, I do have one. I have more of a question, and what the expectation in terms of like timelines for this. I felt like remote debugging, obviously this was made in like April 8th of this year. I feel like it's something we've been talking about for a little while. I was just wondering, obviously we picked up .NET, but like if anyone has done any other work to like look into any of the other language families, and like I guess what the priority of this is.
I think the biggest issue is getting feedback about what the expectations are for each language ecosystem, because like what remote debugging support means and how they integrate with IDEs is different on like almost every language. And so it's really a matter of like, we're implementing the ones where we've gotten sufficient feedback that we think we know what the direction should be for those languages. And for the others, it's mostly that we haven't heard enough information to be able to say that there's a plan, that we know that we're going to be able to implement this in the way that developers would expect.
That's good context. Thank you.
Could we add that in writing a little bit on that issue, just in the event that people arrive at it and they sort of see unchecked boxes for their language of interest, that's their cue to offer us some feedback?
Right. So yeah, seems like there are a couple of action items here. Anything else regarding this RFC? No? Okay, next up is support for Cyclone Dx and zip SBOM.
I think that Ryan and I just had like a conversation at the very bottom of this thread today. I think that all of the languages currently do support SIFT and Cyclone Dx, and I think they also include SPDX. We'd like to keep this open until two later issues merge, which is around an addendum to this, which changes the formats of SPDX and Cyclone Dx slightly to make it so that they are reproducible, like the builds that they have are reproducible, to make our images more reproducible. And that work is in flight right now as well.
Thank you, Forrest. Okay. Well, next up, Jammy Builders.
So this is a bit of a, I guess, spoiler for one of the announcements that I have in there, but we currently have full Buildpackless full base, Buildpackless base, and tiny and Buildpackless tiny. All of those builders exist and have releases, which means all of the stacks exist as well. The only thing that is holding this back is support for all of the original language families in the builders. So base has needs a couple more Buildpack to transfer over to Jammy, and so does full, for both of those builders to be completely built out.
Can we link, I know we have tracking issues for those. Can we link those here so we can just see status a little bit easier?
Yeah, Forrest, could you repeat that last part, the one thing that was missing?
So there's just Tiny and Buildpackless Tiny are done because all of the build packs that are in Tiny Bionic are in Tiny Jammy. The things we're missing out is all of the things that are in full Bionic are not in full Jammy, and all the things that are in full base are not in Jammy base. The builders, that is. So like we're just waiting to be able to move more build packs in as compatibility is reached. So I know that work is being done for Node and Python and Ruby and all.
Okay, so it's a compatibility testing with the build packs before we declare this. Okay.
Yeah. So all of the builders exist. They're just not compatible with Bionic.
Okay, thanks.
Right, thank you. Next up, enable remote debug support.
I think we've covered this. This is just the .NET
Mhm.
sub issue.
Yeah, right. Right, and amendment, reproducible Cyclone Dx S1.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned above.
Mhm.
The track of work that's in flight around making Cyclone Dx SBOMs more reproducible. This is an open PR, and I'm I have it blocking the next issue, which is around SPDX, because I would like to use the same method, and I just want to get approval from all tooling maintainers to know that the method is good, and then it should be a relatively simple swap over, and then we can hopefully close out SBOM support as implemented.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, next I'd say that we'll try to clarify the status of these two initiatives for the common login levels for Buildpack. Is there any update regarding this one?
I think that Frankie has put a discussion down asking maintainers to basically look at their build packs and see if they are debug compatible. Frankie and I had like a bit of a sidebar conversation earlier today around what debug compatible meant. I don't think that I am going to prescribe any of that. But I think that's something just for each language family maintainer set to come up with, is when they feel that their build pack is supporting debug logging.
So the build packs support the flag, but they don't actually generate any additional debug level logging. That's okay.
That could be a definition of supporting debug level logging, and I think that that's perfectly valid. Some language family maintainers may want to just like have maybe a base support of, debug logs if they have, like, I don't know, a unified logging scheme or something like that.
I think the original RFC that spawned this explicitly stayed away from trying to define what any build pack would actually log. So
yeah,
I'm somewhat credulous of saying that build packs have to log something in order to call this done, since the RFC definitely did not say build packs have to log anything. But I do think it makes sense for the build pack to at least respect the environment variable if it sees it.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I guess it's like a follow-up. If you are a maintainer in one of these groups, you should do an audit of your build packs and see if they at least support respect the flag being set. And if not, I guess create a comment, and so it can be tracked in this issue.
Okay, thank you. And the RST 15 distribute build packs via Docker Hub. Yeah, is there any recent update about this one?
I think the Java build packs are the holdout here primarily. We have the tooling updated to do this, but we have to go back and actually bump a change into each of the build packs. And we've been slowly doing that as we make other changes, as opposed to just going and firing off like 30 PRs to update them all individually. So we're gradually getting there, but I don't think we've got them all publishing yet.
I have a quick question about one of these requirements. It talks about updating the README reference on all build packs. I think currently a lot use GCR. Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to use the C&B registry? I guess like identifiers as instead, because I guess they're in some ways more anonymous and are less reliant on what registry we're pushing to. Unless I'm misunderstanding that.
I think it's maybe contextual. Like, I think it's useful in some cases. Like if you're talking about something like KPack, then I think you're going to want like an image reference to the thing. But if you were showing like an example pack command that had like a -- build pack with a specifier, your specifier being like a CNV registry identifier, I think is like a more reasonable choice in that case. So yeah, the answer I think is it's context dependent.
Okay. Thank you. Great. So in regards to this board, I will say that the planned initiatives are not something we'll be discussing here right now. Unless you need to discuss some of them. If that's not the case, we could move to the next item, the agenda. Any objection? Oh, all right. Okay, so next up, reviewing outstanding RFCs. Probably we already saw some of them. Could start by the support for Yarnberry. Is there any recent update about this one? Or anything that you'd like to discuss about this?
I think this has been approved last time I checked by the other node maintainer, Ryan. So I think that might just be it for this RFC. But I know some other folks had left comments, so I guess final call for those folks to leave any additional comments, but I think this is good to merge.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Timothy. Okay, yeah, the dependency management family of RFCs, I think we already discussed this, right?
Yeah, we can skip.
Yeah, okay. Next up was the new feature checklist proposal.
I have no updates. I'm waiting to hear back from people and see if what I have proposed is sufficient.
Okay, thank you, Forrest. Next up, well, seems like the author of this proposal is not here, but there's been some discussion around this. It has approvals already. But wondering if there's anything else you'd like to discuss about this proposal?
I believe we're still waiting. Looks like looks like he's going to have updates for us next
Oh
week.
yeah,
So
next week.
Yep.
You're right. Thank you. Next up, publish images to ECR.
I think I may be the last holdout on this one. I was just
Mhm.
waiting to hear back from Emily on one last comment.
Okay, got it. Yeah, by the way, Joshua, thank you. This is a really great idea. Put the note here. Thank you. Okay, next one, reduce build complexity of .NET runtimes.
I think this has all approvals.
Can we just merge
Okay.
it right now? Or actually, wait, no, it needs a number, whatever, I can do it. after this.
Great. Okay. Next one. APM tooling team and 8 new APM build packs.
I think we got our first approval. I would like to try to get this merged soon, so maybe call for any final comments. And I'm not sure who. I believe that this was proposed as a Paketo wide RFC, but I had kind of hoped to get feedback from as many people as possible. So I think minimally we're probably waiting on Emily's approval as another steering committee member. But if you are a maintainer in another project that I think if you scroll up just a little bit, David, I had listed. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's in the actual RFC. In the actual RFC, I had listed the language families that are supported by some of these build packs. So if you are in a language family that has some support in here, and you're okay with moving ahead, maybe just drop in your approval as well. I think just the more support we have in general, the better. But I would like to try to get this merged maybe by the end of the week, if possible. Scroll down a little bit, David. It's yeah, this detection criteria and action section. So you can see in that section which ones are.
Okay.
So like some of them, like Dynatrace, has support for basically any language. And then others have language specific. Node has a number of them support Node. They all support Java. And then I think there's a couple that support PHP as well.
All right.
For the build packs that have no language specifics proposed, does it just support any build pack or just Java?
I think I put language support
well,
in
yeah.
all of them. If I missed one, let me know. But I would bet it's probably just Java if I omitted it.
Yeah, no, you're all good. The one I was looking at has it just written out. So Apache Skywalking is
Okay,
a Java agent. So you're all good.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next one. Proposal to rename build packs.
Small thing, but in creating the Visual Studio debugger build pack for the remote debugging work, I did use this scheme just to get started on that. Just figured I'd call that out. No, it's not approved yet, but figured we'd get started anyway.
Cool. I think we have support that we need for this one. I see we've got a couple approvals. Yeah. So I can probably go ahead and merge this because I don't think we have any outstanding questions to resolve.
Great. Okay, next one. Web servers re-architecture.
The only thing I'm waiting on for here is to just have some more feedback. I personally don't care whether or not they're named web server or web server dist, but I also don't want to just like make that decision on behalf of my other. I just wanted a little bit of feedback from other web service maintainers in terms of like, if that was cool. If so, I'll just merge the change. I don't really care that much.
Great.
Just like contextually, there is precedent of doing like exactly this kind of thing. I want to say it's like the NPM, or maybe it's the Yarn build pack. One of the node build packs used to like install its dependency and then like run a command. And we broke it up into 2 build packs, and one of them just kept the name that the original build pack had. So like, it's not like this would be the first time we would have ever done this in the project.
I don't hear anything back soon, I'm just going to assume that silence is approval and just go ahead and merge it. So
Seems reasonable.
Okay, then. Next up, assign RFC number and update readme. Okay. Anything to-
go ahead.
This one just needs to be merged. This was just cleanup after merging a couple other RFCs so we just assigned RFC numbers and updated the status in the readmes.
Got it. Right, and the RFC to include libs to tiny that are needed for Node. Okay.
Yeah, I had logged a few questions on this. I'm not sure if the submitter came back with answers yet.
Mhm.
Looks like they might have.
Yeah, I don't have an update on this one, but I saw your comment in about how this probably won't, yeah, it's on the screen right now, how this won't unlock the ability to run all Node.js use cases. And I definitely just want to understand more about what will be supported with this change, because I'm just really like hesitant to add anything to the tiny stack without fully understanding what we're enabling and how far that use case goes and actually how useful it will be. I don't have that much context on what the use cases would be. So I definitely want to see more of that on this PR. I think they said that all of our sample apps, once the change has been made to npm start to not use bash, should probably work, but I don't know if that's necessarily a representative sampling of apps for like what actual users would provide. So I definitely just want to see more information about that, because I would hate to add stuff to the tiny stack that only enable a few use cases and then everybody else who uses it just have to deal with the extra size. But I will add that as a comment here.
Yeah, I think this one is definitely a test for us on should we add this to tiny or not, because the size increase is not insubstantial. I think it's like almost 2 megs, which seems small, but that's like 10% increase in the size of the image. So relatively speaking, it is kind of significant. It would possibly be nice to investigate what else outside of Node this might enable as well, because it's adding like if I understand it, just some base like C++ libraries that are like runtime libraries that are required. So it's possible that there are other things that this might be helpful for. I don't know if it could like perhaps reduce things that we need to include with other binaries that we're building, like PHP or any of the other ones that we compile from source. Maybe we're shipping copies of that library in those downloads that we could then remove, or if this would help with getting any of the web servers or anything to run on Tiny as well. That would be extra justification if we could link anything else like that to this.
All right. Thank you. Any additional comment about this proposal? Oh, all right. So next up in the agenda was the upstream update and our questions. Not sure if any of you are aware of updates, relevant updates, or recent updates and cloud native Buildpacks. Besides a lot of activity in the proposal to add the capability exporting in OCI format. That's the one I'm aware of, at least. But besides this, not sure if any of you have something share in that regard? If not, we can move to the next item. Okay. Next up, project update. Jammy Buildpack left full and Jammy full builders are live. Interesting.
So this is the last Jammy stack that was needed to be supported. It has live releases out now. You can use them to test, I guess, your various build packs if you want to try and run against them. Bearing in mind it has a new stack ID, so you know you'll be limited if you were running on Bionic stack IDs. Other than that, yeah, they're live, and hopefully they will be. There will be more languages added rapidly.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing first. Yeah, I'll make sure that this goes also to a newsletter. All right. Anything else you'd like to share in terms of project update or any other discussion topic or questions you may have? No? Well, okay, then, so seems like that's it for today's agenda. Thank all for joining and hope to see you next week.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.